Success in the beauty industry isn't just about talent, it's about trust. When someone sits in your chair, they're putting their image, their confidence, their special moments in your hands. I learned that lesson early, watching my mom work in her small salon in our garage. Make them feel beautiful inside and out, Olivia, she'd say while transforming another neighbor into their best self. I took those words to heart when I started Glow Up Beauty, my mobile styling service for weddings and special events. 5 years of building my reputation, carefully curating my team, and creating signature looks that made every bride feel like a princess on her big day. My Instagram following grew to over 200,000, with brides flying me across the country for their weddings. I was living my dream, and the cherry on top, I was finally planning my own wedding to Marcus, the man who'd supported me through every step of building my business. My younger sister Melanie had always been the responsible one in our family's eyes. While I was practicing updos on mannequin heads and experimenting with makeup techniques, she was getting her business degree and working internships at prestigious firms. At least one of our daughters has a real career plan, Dad would say, not even trying to hide his disappointment in my chosen path. But success has a way of changing people's minds. When Glow Up Beauty started making 6 figures, suddenly my little hobby became interesting to them. Especially to Melanie. "You should let me help manage the business side," she started saying at family dinners. "You're so creative, Liv, but you need someone with actual business experience to handle the numbers." I always refused politely. The business was my baby, built from the ground up with my own vision and hard work. Besides, I wasn't exactly struggling with the management side. My books were immaculate, my client contracts solid, my business plan sound. Looking back, I should have seen the signs. The way Melanie started showing up at my events, chatting with my team members, taking particular interest in my suppliers and business partners. But I was distracted with wedding planning, trying to create my own perfect day while juggling a full schedule of bridal clients. The first warning came from Jamie, my lead makeup artist, 2 weeks before my wedding. "Liv, something weird is going on," she said during our morning meeting. "I just got an email saying all future communications about bookings should go through Melanie. Did you change the management structure?" My coffee cup froze halfway to my lips. "What email?" Jamie pulled up the message on her phone. There it was, on official-looking letterhead, Glow Up Beauty LLC, under new management. The signature line showed Melanie's name and a title I'd never given her, Executive Director. "There must be some mistake," I said, already reaching for my phone to call my sister. But before I could dial, another notification popped up, this time from my business email account. "Access denied." My hands started shaking as I tried to log in again. And again, nothing. I was locked out of my own business email. The next few hours were a blur of desperate phone calls and horrifying discoveries. Melanie had somehow gained access to my business records months ago. While I was meeting with florists and cake designers for my wedding, she was methodically laying the groundwork to take over my company. She trademarked my business name, which I'd neglected to do in my early days. She copied my client database. She'd even registered a new LLC with herself as the sole owner, using my branding, my portfolio, everything I built. When I finally got through to her, her voice was calm, businesslike, as if we were discussing a routine transaction instead of the theft of my entire livelihood. "It's just business, Olivia," she said coolly. "You built a great brand, but you never protected it legally. I'm simply taking it to the next level. Professional management, corporate structure, scalability, all the things you were too artistic to think about." Too artistic. My voice cracked. I built this business from nothing. Those are my designs, my techniques, my clients. Were your designs? Were your clients? I could hear the smirk in her voice. "Check your email." "Oh wait, you can't anymore, can you? I've sent formal cease and desist letters to all your team members. They work for me now, or they don't work at all." The world started spinning. 2 weeks before my wedding, and my own sister had stolen everything I built. "Mom and Dad agree with me," Melanie continued. "They think it's for the best. You can focus on your wedding, on starting a family. Leave the business to someone who knows how to run one properly." I hung up and immediately called my parents, hoping it was some mistake, but their response made my blood run cold. "Darling, Melanie knows what she's doing," Mom said soothingly. "She has an MBA, remember. And you'll be so busy being a wife soon. Your sister's protecting the family business, Dad chimed in, making it legitimate. You should be grateful. Grateful. They wanted me to be grateful for having my life's work stolen out from under me. Marcus found me on our bathroom floor an hour later, surrounded by printouts of business documents I could no longer access online. My beautiful wedding planning binder sat untouched on the counter. What was the point of planning my perfect day when my whole world had just imploded? But Marcus, bless him, didn't let me wallow. He helped me up, sat me down at our kitchen table, and opened his laptop. "You're not going down without a fight," he said firmly. "Your sister may have an MBA, but I've got a friend who specializes in intellectual property law. Let's see what she has to say about this." That night, instead of finalizing my wedding centerpieces, I started gathering evidence. Years of social media posts proving I created and built the brand. Emails from satisfied clients. Financial records I thankfully backed up. Videos of my signature techniques that Melanie was now claiming as her own. But the real breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Lisa, my former assistant, who quit mysteriously 3 months ago, sent me a message. "I need to tell you something. Melanie didn't just steal your business. She's been planning this for over a year, and I have proof." The proof turned out to be a goldmine. Recorded conversations, secret emails, detailed plans for the takeover. Lisa had been documenting everything since Melanie first approached her with an offer she couldn't refuse. She said if I didn't help her, she'd make sure I never worked in the industry again. Lisa explained tearfully, "But I can't live with what we did to you. I'm so sorry, Liv." I held on to that evidence like a lifeline, even as my world continued to crumble. My team members, faced with legal threats from Melanie's corporate lawyers, had no choice but to sign contracts with her. My wedding vendors, confused by the conflicting communications, started calling to confirm bookings with a new management. Through it all, I kept thinking about what my mom had taught me about trust in this industry. Melanie might have stolen my business name, my clients, even my techniques, but she couldn't steal the years of relationships I'd built, the reputation I'd earned, the trust I'd established. 1 week before my wedding, I made a decision. The wedding would wait. First, I had a business to reclaim. The next few days were a blur of legal consultations and sleepless nights. Marcus's friend Sarah, the IP lawyer, reviewed everything and her eyes lit up with predatory gleam. "This isn't just theft," she said, spreading Lisa's evidence across her desk. "This is corporate espionage, fraud, and tortious interference. Your sister made one crucial mistake. She got greedy. Instead of building her own business, she tried to steal yours completely. That's going to cost her." I spent what should have been my final wedding dress fitting meeting with a forensic accountant instead. He traced every movement Melanie had made through my business accounts, documenting each unauthorized access, each diverted payment. "She's been siphoning small amounts for months," he explained, pointing to a spreadsheet. "Testing the waters, probably. But look here, 3 days before the takeover, she transferred all incoming payments to a new account. That's textbook fraud." The wedding was postponed indefinitely. Marcus supported my decision completely. "We'll have our perfect day," he promised, "after we make your sister regret ever touching your business." Then came the call I'd been waiting for. Melanie wanted to meet. Just to talk things through, she said, her voice lacking its usual confidence. "Family shouldn't fight like this." We met at our parents' house, neutral territory, or so she thought. Mom and Dad hovered anxiously as we sat down at the dining room table where we'd shared so many family meals. "I've been thinking," Melanie started, smoothing her expensive blazer. "Maybe we could work something out. A partnership. You could handle the creative side, and I'll manage the business operations, just like I originally suggested." I pulled out my laptop. "Before we discuss anything, I'd like to show you something." The first video started playing. Melanie in my office after hours, copying files from my computer. Then another. Her meeting with my suppliers, claiming to be the new owner weeks before the takeover. More evidence followed. Bank transfers, forged documents, recorded conversations with Lisa. "There's plenty more," I said quietly. "Would you like to see the part where you threatened my employees? Or maybe the email where you detailed your plans to eliminate all trace of the original ownership?" The color drained from Melanie's face. Mom gasped. Dad started to speak, but I held up my hand. "I'm not finished. Sarah, you remember Marcus's friend Sarah. She's a fascinating lawyer. specializes in intellectual property and corporate fraud. She's particularly interested in this case. I opened another file. This is what the damages look like: financial fraud, intellectual property theft, tortious interference with business relationships. Sarah says we're looking at millions in damages, not to mention potential criminal charges. Criminal charges? Mom's voice was barely a whisper. Oh yes, I continued, my voice steady despite my racing heart. Unauthorized access of business accounts, wire fraud, identity theft. The FBI gets very interested in cases like this. You wouldn't, Melanie said, but her voice trembled. We're family. Family? I laughed, but there was no humor in it. Family doesn't steal from each other. Family doesn't destroy someone's livelihood 2 weeks before their wedding. Family doesn't, my voice cracked slightly, family doesn't try to erase their sister's existence from the business she built. She was only trying to help. Dad started, but I cut him off. Help? By stealing my company? By threatening my employees? By trying to destroy everything I've built? I turned back to Melanie. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to transfer everything back. The trademark, the LLC, the client contracts, everything. You're going to publicly announce that you attempted an unauthorized takeover and apologize to all affected clients. You're going to repay every penny you took from my accounts, and you're going to do it all by midnight tomorrow. That's impossible, she protested. The contracts, the legal work. Sarah has already prepared everything. All you have to do is sign. I pulled out a thick envelope. Or we can let the courts handle it. Your choice. Your sister's career would be ruined, Mom pleaded. Her reputation. Like she tried to ruin mine. The silence that followed was deafening. Melanie stared at the envelope, her carefully constructed world crumbling around her. What about a compromise? Dad suggested desperately. Surely we can find a middle ground. The middle ground was last year, when I refused her offer to help with my business. The middle ground was 3 months ago, when she started plotting behind my back. The middle ground was 2 weeks ago, before she stole everything I've worked for. I stood up, gathering my evidence. Now the only ground is my ground. You have until midnight tomorrow, Melanie. Choose wisely. I walked out of my parents' house that day and never looked back. Melanie signed the papers, all of them. With 4 hours to spare, the public announcement went out the next morning. My business returned to my control, though the damage to some relationships was permanent. Surprisingly, the publicity helped rather than hurt. My story resonated with other small business owners, particularly women who'd faced similar attempts to discredit or steal their work. My Instagram following doubled. New clients reached out, specifically wanting to support a woman who'd fought back against corporate theft. The wedding? We replanned it from scratch. Smaller, more intimate, but also more meaningful. My new team, carefully chosen and fiercely loyal, handled the beauty preparations. The photos show a different bride than I'd originally imagined. Stronger, wiser, with a spark of steel behind the softness. Melanie wasn't invited. She'd moved to Chicago, taking a corporate job that kept her far from the beauty industry. Our parents attended the wedding but left early, uncomfortable with the whispers and stares from guests who knew the story. A year has passed since then. Glow Up Beauty has expanded, but carefully, thoughtfully, with contracts and protections I never knew I needed before. I still do bridal styling. There's something powerful about helping other women feel beautiful on their most important day, especially now that I understand how quickly life can change. Last week, I received an interesting email. Melanie's name in my inbox nearly made me delete it unread, but curiosity won out. I'm starting a new business, she wrote. A tech startup, completely different from beauty industry. I need investors. Given your success, I thought, maybe we could talk about a partnership. I stared at the screen, remembering the sister who'd played dolls with me, who'd practiced French braids on my hair, who'd somewhere along the way decided that success meant taking rather than earning. Then I clicked delete and went back to working on my new signature bridal collection. Some betrayals teach you more than years of business school. They teach you to protect what's yours, to trust your instincts, to understand that sometimes the most important business decision is knowing when to walk away. Yesterday, a young stylist interviewed for a position with my team. I want to learn everything, she said eagerly. The techniques, the business side, everything. I smiled, thinking of my mother's words about trust in this industry. The most important thing, I told her, is to build something that's truly yours. Something no one can take away. She nodded, not fully understanding yet. But she will. We all learn these lessons eventually. Some of us just learn them harder than others. The beauty industry is still about trust. But now I know that trust, like everything else valuable in life, needs protection. My contracts are ironclad. My intellectual property is secured. My team is bound by more than just employment agreements. They're bound by loyalty earned through respect and fair treatment. Melanie's startup failed 6 months later. I heard through family gossip that she tried to force out her co-founder, using the same tactics she used on me. But this time her target was better prepared. Sometimes karma works faster than lawyers. Mom still sends holiday cards, always including a photo of Melanie and subtle hints about reconciliation. I keep them in a file labeled evidence. Old habits die hard. But I don't respond. Some bridges, once burned, should stay ashes. The rose gold glow-up beauty sign still hangs in my main studio. But now it's properly trademarked, properly protected. Under it, I train new stylists, create new techniques, build new dreams. But I do it smarter now, stronger. Because sometimes the most beautiful transformations come not from what we gain, but from what we survive. Marcus understands. He sees the steel behind my smile when I work with clients, the extra care I take with contracts, the walls I've built around my business and my heart. You're not just helping them glow up, he says sometimes, watching me work. You're helping them armor up too. He's right. Every bride who sits in my chair gets more than just beauty now. She gets a quiet lesson in strength. Because sometimes the most important glow comes from within, from knowing who you are and protecting what you've built. The beauty industry is still about trust. But now I know that the most important trust is the one you have in yourself. To build, to protect, and when necessary, to fight for what's yours.